Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Friday night service. This is Rabbi Jeff the Circle of Glory here at Congregation Kol Ami, and we are delighted to be worshiping here with you and with our in-person congregation. We've been expanding our numbers just a little bit. We're going up to a maximum of 20. So we're delighted to have a few extra people join us. We're going to start, as we always do, with just a little nigun, a little wordless music in order to just unwind, shift gears, get out of that, wow, I'm lying around the house all day, and go into I'm lying around the house all Shabbat mode. All right, are you ready, everybody? Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da da yai da da yai da 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 da, yai da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da da ya da da. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya la la, ya da 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 da, ya da da da, ya da 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 da, ya da da ya da da ya da da. It's best to face all the challenges in life with a certain sense of gratitude and consciousness of all the common day and everyday things that happen to us that nevertheless make our life work. And so we encourage everyone to start thinking about good and blessing. What good and blessings have happened to us all in the past week? I'm going to start simply with the fact that Congregation Kol Ami is blessed to have quite a number of people here, not our 20, but it's nice to see the faces. So we're thankful to have Don and Helena Dawsey and Samson and Casey and Bob and Becky Leonard and Stephen Ducar with his ever more attractive son, Adam, and Harold and Adrian Harris. Melissa is here with us, Trapani. And we also have Greg, who I want to call out for being really great and being a shomer for the funeral we had this week. We really appreciate it. And Susan Lee and our Vice President, Michelle Jim. So we're grateful that they're here. We also want to recognize some milestones that are happening in the congregation. We have birthdays. This week, Karen Bornstein and Joanne Fromm and Murray Kennedy and Nate Roseberry all celebrated their birthday. So we wish them well. And for anniversaries, we're thinking of Louise and Melissa Enriquez and Maury and Rebecca Boardman, both of whom are celebrating an anniversary of marriage. Mazel tov to them both. And is there anything to report among the people who are here in our in-person service? Becky. Wow. Okay. So work and more work, a little one. That's awesome. That's great. No, these are not things to be taken for granted. That's wonderful. Who else has a good and blessing to offer? Casey.
My little sister started her second contract in Israel playing professional soccer. So she's back in Ra'anana, safe, COVID negative, and quarantining.
Wow. Okay. So on the playing field, that's amazing. How old is she?
22 or 3.
That's great. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm fuzzy about both my son's birthdays. Yeah.
She's in there.
All right. Who else has a good and blessing in the room? Anybody else have something to offer? All right. Do we have anything online? Okay. Well, I just want to tell you that the twofold blessing I have is my owl is still hanging around, and I've got Arlo, my camera, working again. So now I can not only watch and sip my coffee in the morning and evening with my owl, but I can capture pictures. So I'm very excited about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin our service with the kindling of Shabbat lights, and it's my pleasure to invite up Rachel Leonard to kindle the lights of the Sabbath. If you've got a prayer book, we're going to be on page 1.
In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. Praise for you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat light.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Yasher Koach, my dear. So I didn't include this under good and blessing, probably more under dread and terror, and that is that Lindsay is not with us again tonight, so I'm going to be leading the music, but that's okay, she'll be back, So we're going to pick up our Kabbalat Shabbat, rabbi style, on page 2 with Psalm 95. Lechuna Ranina, Psalm 95. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu nekadma lefana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bezimrot naria lo. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. Lechune ranena, lechune ranena, lechune ranena, ladonai. We're going to turn to Psalm 96 on the next page. We're going to go to the middle of the page. Yismechu hashamayim v'targel haaretz, yiram hayam umalo'o. Let the heavens rejoice, and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exalt. And then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly, and its people faithfully. Or zaruach letzadiku yishrei lev simcha. Adonai reigns. Let the land exult and the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds surround God. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne. God's lightning illumines the world, and light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright of heart. O you who are righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We're going to move on now to Psalm 29, and we're going to be chanting that in Hebrew. Havu l'Adonai b'nei elim, havu l'Adonai kavod v'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu Adonai b'hadrat kodesh. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Let us ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. And let us worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. And now we're going to welcome in the Sabbath. We're at the cusp of the Sabbath with Lecha Dodi. And I think this week I'm going to designate Steve and Adam to keep the doors open until the Sabbath bride is safely with us, all right? So we're going to go to Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibor echad. Hishmianu el haminuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem ul tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai yalalai yalalai. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechul v'nelcha ki hi mekor habracha merosh mekedem nesucha sof ma'aseh v'makshvatila. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoruri, hitoruri, kiva ore kumi ori, uri, uri, shirda beri, kevod Adonai le'ailech nigla. Please rise. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam v'simcha uzola toch emunei am sigula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai yalalai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to we who are faithful, a treasured people. Come, O Sabbath, come, O bride. We turn now to the Hatzi Kaddish, page 9, if you have our Siddur. Yitkadal vayitkadash shmei Rabbah. V'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael bagala bagala uv'zman kariv v'yimaru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'ala mulal me'al maya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnase, v'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal, shmei d'kudsha. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran belma, v'maru, amen. May the Holy One be glorified and exalted and honored, though God is beyond all praises, songs, and adorations that we could possibly utter. And let us say, amen. Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu. Baruch et Adonai Hamborah, Baruch Adonai Hamborah, Le'olam Va'ed. And we mark now the smooth and beautiful transition between day and night, praising God for his constancy. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'dvaro ma'ariv aruvim, b'chochma potech sha'arim, uvituna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmazim, umsader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirotzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'hoshech mipnei or, umevir yom umevir layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, ma'ariv aruvim. Praised are you who makes the evening fall. We turn now and thank God also that we are not simply automatons, but that we are learning and responding in moral beings with ahavat olam. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel, Torah and mitzvot, precepts and laws you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. And then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Praised is Adonai, who loves the people Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. And tonight, I think we'll share the reading of the Via Hafta in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your being. These words which I command you this day shall be upon your heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them be a symbol before your eyes. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. So shall you dedicate yourselves to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Emet v'emunah kol zot v'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu v'ein zulato v'nachnu Yisrael amo. True and enduring, beloved and precious, good and awesome and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, the shield of our salvation. Adonai our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive, redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to those who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing, and like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing, the Mika Mocha, ladies and gentlemen. Yai lai 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 lai, yalla lai ba bim bum. Yai lai 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 lai, yalla lai ba bim bum. Yai lai lai lai, yalla lai ba bim bum. Ya la ya la la ya la la ba bim bam. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai. Mi kamocha neda bakodesh. Nora tehilot o sefele. Nora tehilot o sefele. Yai lai 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 ya la lai ba bim bam. Yai lai 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 ya la lai ba bim bam. Yai lai lai ya la lai ba bim bam. Yai lai ya la lai ba bim bam. And now, as our thoughts turn to night and sleep, we offer the prayer of Hashkivenu, asking God's protective shelter over us and those we love. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant that tonight we should lie down in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up, O sovereign, tomorrow to a life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. Guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. We come now to tefillah, to our standing prayer. Whether in body or spirit, please rise to join in worship. Adonai sefatai tiftahu fi yadi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Hastei Avot Imot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mechalkel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Elah, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman Tal Hayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim v'Chol Yom Yechalu Chasela. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. As we reach the middle of our tefillah, we turn now for a blessing for Shabbat. And tonight we're going to do the bracha Vishamru. It's at the top of page 21. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם, Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti le'olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam. Shabbat is a sign forever between me and the children of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God rested and was refreshed. We continue now with Reitzeh. Adonai our God, show favor towards your people and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable to you, for you alone do we hold in reverence. And we also offer our thanks to you, Adonai our God, God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation for all generations. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. We're going to close out, as we do every tefillah, with a prayer for peace, a supplication for some serenity in our lives in these anxious times. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'alam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'alam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'alam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'alam. V'tov einecha levaret et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. May you cause enduring and abundant peace to be upon your people, for you are the master of peace, and may it be worthy in your eyes to bless your people Israel at all times with your peace. We're going to take a few moments now for our own silent prayers and our own silent reflections. Take what offerings you have and bring them to your heart, and we'll start again with Oseh Shalom in just a little bit. Say shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. May the one who makes peace above make peace descend on all of us and Israel, and let us say Amen. Oh, say Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen, amen. Whenever anything even slightly unusual happens in our home, I knock over a beloved coffee cup forever and it breaks and I'm sad. My family will tease me and say, is this going to be a sermon? Sometimes it often comes with the roll of the eyes. Sometimes things happen, and yes, it is going to end up a sermon. In that sense, a rabbi is really no different than any other kind of writer or poet or any person who utilizes their own experiences and the world around them to reflect on and hopefully to be inspired. It is my belief that Torah writ large is actually intended to encompass every aspect of our lives, and every source within our vast tradition offers us something to reflect on in our modern experience, whether it is a moment that has clear significance or something that is seemingly mundane. So, I'm thinking about Thanksgiving dinner. And why is this Thanksgiving going to be different from all other Thanksgivings? Because we're going to be dealing with everything involved in COVID. And I'm looking forward to a delicious meal with my family. At the same time, I'm thinking about people who won't be there with us. And I'm thinking about a sermon. Robin said this year that because we're not having guests, we should diverge from our standard menu and we should experiment. So, in this case, thinking about a sermon informs what may happen in real life. So it occurred to me, because of our Torah portion, Toldot, how about a bean or a lentil soup? Jacob's red lentil stew that Esau wanted when he returned from hunting, famished, presumably led to my thinking about this. It triggered this menu idea. So, red lentil soup. Now all I have to do is find some kind of truly exorbitant demand of Robin in exchange for my making an experimental Thanksgiving dinner, and the Torah and real life will become perfectly aligned with one another. Which brings me to the rivalry and intense jealousy that Jacob and Esau must have had of each other. How must Jacob, only a few moments younger than his twin brother, have felt when his older brother had a much closer relationship with their father? How did Esau feel, sensing that his own mother seemed to prefer his brother, Jacob? And why would Jacob demand the birthright from his brother when he returns home from starving? Eitz Chaim Chumash comments in this way: Jacob may have resented Esau's privilege based simply on him being older by a matter of minutes. I can see where that would bother someone. Here, the Torah is making a revolutionary and radical introduction and statement about what people do normally. While in the ancient world, it was a given that the oldest child was given preferential treatment. In fact, it was presumed he would inherit a double portion of his father's estate, or even perhaps the entire estate. Here, the Torah introduces a different idea. The entire book of Genesis really invites us to reconsider this customary bias, teaching us that perhaps the bias is really not so fair. And that is why the younger child often becomes the dominant one and the heir in our stories. Think of Isaac over Ishmael or Jacob over Esau. This, I think, may be the birthplace of the Jewish and I think now Western tradition of being attracted to an underdog. Unless I know some unsavory bit about their cause, I usually end up rooting for the underdog, whether here or abroad. Since we've been smaller in number and the underdog in so many situations, from Hanukkah to Israel's War of Independence, Jews may in fact just naturally incline towards the underdog. So, who is the underdog in this particular parsha? There are really several. Jacob, as the younger brother, is obvious. Esau, as the brother whose mother does not favor him, also. Isaac, who is old and elderly and vulnerable. And Rebekah, who, as a woman, is naturally the underdog, especially in the ancient world. So, who are we meant to see as the underdog in this narrative? While all four of them are underdogs for different reasons, they each have their own power. Isaac has the power to bless and to give his inheritance. Both Jacob and Esau come out on top in different ways. Jacob is able to abscond with the blessing and the birthright, yet Esau is clearly a more powerful person. Jacob's fear of him forces him to abandon his inheritance for a while. But I think ultimately it is Rebekah who is both the underdog and, oddly enough, the champion of the narrative. Women in general were, and to some extent still are, the underdogs in any society. Sometimes we look at the Torah through the lens of our own time, and we think about how ridiculously retrograde its perspective seems to be. But to appreciate the Torah means that we need to read it and understand it in its own time and its own context. In the Torah's world, women had almost no rights and few protection. And thus the Torah's innovations, from giving women's rights within a marriage to allowing women to inherit land under certain circumstances, were in their time radical and revolutionary. For the most part, however, women are powerless. A woman could not tell her husband what she wanted or, for example, her feelings about her own children, influencing him to go in a certain direction. According to the biblical scholar Tikva Freimer-Kinsky, Alav HaShalom, in the world of the ancestors, a father could determine who was going to be his firstborn, his chief heir, and could change his mind even upon his deathbed. Family documents from the Syrian city of Nuzi from around 1600 BCE, contemporary to the setting of our ancestors, include several documents in which a man promises another that he will be the firstborn. Nevertheless, another document shows that the man's family came to him on his deathbed to tell him to designate a different firstborn. Sound familiar to our story? So Rivka is confronted with a major dilemma, given that she's already had a prophecy when she was pregnant, and she knows that Jacob is supposed to become the firstborn. And if Isaac blesses Esau, that prophecy will not come true. The problem is that as a woman, what can she do about it? How can she influence the outcome? In addition, she knows that her husband already favors Esau, since Esau is a hunter and her husband is just a meat guy all the way through. If she's going to change the destiny of her children, if she's going to alter the history of the Israelites, she has to act quickly, decisively, and behind the scenes. That is not to say that she does not have her own biases. She prefers Jacob. He's more domestic. Perhaps he will care for her better in her old age. As Freimer-Kinsky also points out, whether or not Rivka is thinking of the oracle at this particular moment, the oracle has shown her and the reader what God's plan is. Isaac must bless Jacob. Only he has the right to bestow the blessing. Rivka knows that he has made his decision, and she will not be able to persuade Isaac to change his mind. And so she decides to deceive him, and in turn persuades Jacob to follow her plan. Rivka then takes great risks to ensure that her plan's success. She devises an elaborate ruse and skins of goats Jacob, and telling him that if the plan fails and he is cursed, the curse will fall upon her. Rivka is actually quite a woman. Though she is part of a world where women did not have great opportunities, she decides to make sure that this larger plan, what she believes is God's plan, is fulfilled, deceiving her husband and taking on any potential ramifications for her actions. She allays Jacob's fears so that he will be successful. When later readers, perhaps you and I, may think that her behavior is in essence immoral, readers of the Torah 1,000 years ago were impressed by her cunning. She is an admirable trickster who gets what she needs out of life. Even more than Sarah, it's Rivka who demonstrates skillful abilities at getting what she wants. This is, in effect, a new model of a woman. Though still an underdog in society, a woman like Rivka exercises power and authority in a way that was unique in the ancient world and still, in some cases, until recent times. While she may take values like a day of rest, while we may take values like a day of rest, justice, ethical monotheism, democracy, egalitarian learning, the concept of the week, and women's rights as a given, the fact of the matter is it's the Torah that introduces these concepts into the world. And that may explain my need to root for this underdog, whether it is the younger child, a woman, or even the weaker sports team. Our Torah's tales have hardwired us to question the assumptions of who should succeed and why they should. Perhaps even predisposing us towards those who are a little weaker on the field. So next time, when you find yourself rooting for or helping the underdog, realize that you are walking the path of Rivka, that you are enacting and reenacting Torah. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So it's now time for our announcements. And as always, it is the delightful Steve Dukar, who is not always. In fact, we haven't had Steve for a little while, but we're pleased. Steve, come on up here. Give us announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. You almost made me think about when you were talking about the underdogs and thinking about the poor Jets team this year, but that's a whole nother story.
You can love your Jets.
Well, unfortunately, that's not my team, but I've got another dismal team. Shabbat Shalom, one and all. Thank you for being here tonight. It's good to see all these smiling faces here that are joining us this evening. A couple announcements I just wanted to go through in addition to our Misha Barak list for this tonight. Want to remind everyone that our young people are going to have an opportunity this summer to go to Green Family Camp. Camp is open as of right now, planning to allow our kids to go to camp this summer with some new guidelines put in place to make sure that not only the safety of our kids and also the staff. So please reach out to Morgan Dukar, our Youth Engagement Vice President, or go to green.org for more information. In addition to that, just a reminder, there's some great opportunities to, while you're doing your Christmas shopping or shopping in a grocery store, to take advantage of giving back to us here at Congregation Kol Ami through either the community outreach programs that are available through Tom Thumb, Kroger, also don't forget about Amazon Smile, and of course our clothing donation bin that's here in our parking lot. For more information in regards to any fundraising opportunities or ideas that you may have, please reach out to Michelle Kim, who'd be glad to help you and find out all that great information. Now, next week, our office hours are going to be a little bit different. The CK office will only be open on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 24th and 25th of November next week. Bob will be out of the office on Monday. He will still be available by phone during office hours, though, and will be closed, and of course, in observation of Thanksgiving, and we will be closed on Thursday and Friday. An upcoming event, Taste of the Torah. Don't miss out on the rabbi's weekly discussion of each week's Parsha. His new program, Taste of the Torah, will be available every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. You can find it, DIY Judaism, and other videos and commentaries from the rabbi under the Rabbi's Words menu items on the website. Garden of the Generations update for you. On February 1st, 2021, the cost of plots at the Green Garden of Generations will be going up just a little bit as a result of the increased cost of maintenance and the expanding the garden in the future. Even with a price raise, we are overjoyed to still be able to offer an affordable option for Jewish families in the DFW area. The prices will be increasing by $500 for both congregants and non-congregants alike who wish of purchasing a plot in our garden. This price increase will not only affect those who purchased a plot prior to February 1st, prior purchases are also unaffected. From our expanded live services, effective immediately, we are now allowing up to 20 people to join us here at Congregation Kol Ami during services, as we have available here this evening, which I'm great to see all of you that have come. Please continue to sign up for our minions on the congregation's website, so that way we have a good idea of who's going to be here, so that we can, of course, make sure that we have at least a minion and we know who to expect, so that way we can plan properly to make sure we have proper spacing here at the synagogue. In addition to that, of course, always please remember to follow the CDC guidelines in regards to wearing a face covering and keeping our distance and washing our hands. So, who likes Hanukkah? Well, guess what? We've got some great Hanukkah options coming up for us in a Hanukkah drive-in movie series. That's right. What is better than going to a drive-in and seeing Hanukkah movies? It's a little bit tough to find them. Nothing's better, right? Exactly. So Saturday evening, December 12th, the CKA Religious School and the Nadi will be holding a special drive-in event for Hanukkah. The movies will include Rugrats Hanukkah Special and Full Court Miracle. We will also have a photo booth for you and your family, and the Naughty Kids will serve as masked and gloved up car hops. We have latkes and other great treats for you to enjoy. The promise will be to have this be a great event for the whole family, and hope that you can join us that evening. Further details will be available on the congregational website. So, are you looking for some neat Judaica? Well, guess what? You can reach out to Bob in the office, and he'd be more than happy, one, for you to come by and say hello to Bob. After a while, he gets tired of just seeing the rabbi. Come by and say hi to Bob, and he'll let you stop in and take a look at things in the gift shop. Please, starting from today, the gift shop will be offering a 25% discount on all Hanukkah-related items through the end of the holiday. So now is the time to stock up. The gift shop is open during normal business hours from 9 to 1, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to noon on Fridays. With that, let's, as is customary here at Congregation Kol Ami, we'd like to honor those and remember those that are in need of healing with our Misha Barak. So for starters, is there anyone here in the room that would like to share a name that is in need of healing? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Jim Clark, Randy Rosen, Mike Nelson, Tom Holliday, Cindy Diamond, Shirley Hayden, Edna Adams, and Phyllis Wagner.
Thank you. Samson, we have anybody online?
Yes, Frank Cordova, Kevin Wallace, Marcia Epstein, and Jack Rosengram.
Thank you. As we bless all of those that were names that were shared with us, we'd also like to bless Harry Anthony, Anna Binder, Howard Bloom, Natalie Vino, David Cook, Lena Kramer, Gordon Ellison, Tammy Ferris, Michelle Griffith, Mel Gross, James Hart, Ken Hirschman, Jody Hoffman, Judy Hurwitz, Ded Kaufman, Torrin Kirkwood, Alex Koenig, Lauren Koenig, Sandy Lensner, Stanley Levi, Marvin Mason, Judy Mosaics, Don Neal, Herbert Paley, Adrian Sandler, and Myra Schissler. If you could please join us on page 79 in our prayer book for the Misha Barak. Mi sheberak avotenu Metor habraha Livotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberak imotenu bechor havraha liotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. All right. So, Green Family Camp makes me think in military metaphors. Anyone who's done the bar bat mitzvah with me knows that I use military metaphors. It's not because I was ever in the military. I just read books and I know things. So, this is what is one of the most vulnerable times for an army during a war? I'll tell you what it is. It's towards the end when victory is in sight. Now, the good and blessing that we have been hearing in the last 2 weeks is that there are several COVID vaccines on their way, chief of them being the Pfizer vaccine, but also the Moderna vaccine, the Oxford vaccine. There are probably a half dozen other ones a little further behind. They're coming. So that by summer with green, it may in fact be that many of us have been vaccinated and that we'll see something really change. But with victory in sight, remember, do not lose your focus. Do not slack off. We need to keep fighting this with the tools we have until we get the tools we need. So I hope everyone continues to keep themselves safe. And it's my hope, along with, I'm sure, everybody in America, that come summer, we'll be able to return to some of the more typical ways that we've been living. We all pray for that. All right, we come now to the Aleinu on page 82, and I would like to invite up Gregory. Greg did the very great mitzvah of serving as a shomer for a young congregant who died, stayed with him overnight in the funeral home. It's a great act of compassion to make sure that no Jew is ever left alone, even in death. So Greg, would you come on up here? We'd like to honor you with the opening of the Ark. For those who are able to, please rise in body or spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gerula yotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נותן שמיים וביטחון על פני הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמל ושכינת זו וכהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אינו אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כך כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, bashamayim imam, v'ha'aretz mitachat elot. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, echad. Our lives, O God, are in your hands. In you we trust. Whatever may be our destiny, we know that you will be there. Though we may never fathom the mysteries of life and death, we know of your gift of life, which each of us treasures. So no matter what the final end, let us rejoice in the sweetness of the past and in our faith in the life to come. There will we find you, your love and your blessing. We take time now to recall with love and gratitude the names of those whom we have recently lost, as well as those whose anniversaries of death occur this week. For Shiva, we are thinking of Duncan Bender, the son of Jay and Risa and grandson of Norm and Bee Bender, who died this week. Is there anyone else having lost someone last 7 days? Yes. Thank you. Here at Congregation Kol Ami, we join with Susan, Aaron, and Isaac as they mourn for Bill Lee, a former president of this congregation, who died in the past 30 days. Is there anyone else here observing Shloshim? For our yard sites, for honoring those individuals connected to our community who died at this season in years past, we name Susan Anderson, Lottie Ruth Bricker, Herbert Golden, Eve Ivaner, Thomas Ivaner, Harold Kaplan, and Richard Rockland. Is there anyone else in the room who has a yard site this week? Thank you. Is there anybody online? All right. We're going to turn now, thinking of all these people who have touched our lives and honoring them by reciting Kaddish, along with showing our sympathy for those who grieve. Page 85. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, be'alma divrach yorutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, bagalal uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnatzeh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba mim shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mroma hu yaseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all of those who are bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. Please be seated. And I think to honor one of the revolutionary gifts that God and the Jewish people have given to the world, we should sing about Shabbat. So I'm going to invite everyone to turn to page 100. Our closing song is going to be the poem by Abraham Ibn Ezra called Ki Eshmeira Shabbat, translated, when I keep the Sabbath, God keeps me. It is the sign forever between me and thee. Ki Eshmeira Shabbat. Ki Eshmeira Shabbat el yishmereni. Ki Eshmeira Shabbat el yishmereni. oti leomeat beino uveni, oti leomeat beino uveni, ki yesh me'ra Shabbat el yishmareni, ki yesh me'ra Shabbat el yishmareni. I'm now going to go over to camera 2, and we're going to do our kiddush and our blessing for bread, the hamotzi. So our kiddush, I'm going to angle the sound. I'll keep myself sort of aimed in the middle here. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in kiddush for Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit ki hu yom tehila la'mikrei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim. And now we have, before I start playing with it, I can do this. Yep, there we go. All right, we have a lovely Casey challah. We have these tongs from Israel found at the site of the original temple. And together we're going to say the motzi, and I'm going to pass a little bit out to everybody. And I hope that you have something delightful to share with your loved ones at home. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Michelle, do you like the edges on brownies? Do you like the ends on challah? Okay.
I don't like the ends on challah.
She doesn't like
She
the
doesn't
ends?
like the ends.
Oh, okay.
She likes the soft middle.
Okay, here we
I
go.
know Michelle.
There we go. All right. So, and for you, sir,
Beta and for dinner.
and for you, and hard edges for the hard edge. Here we go. This is for you, Don.
That was hardcore rap.
Don and I understand each other. That's good?
Exactly what it looks like.
And then for our lovely team, there we go. You're not even hot. All right. So, with that, and with a thank you to our wonderful team of technicians, chiefly Bob, but now also Samson, helping make this all possible. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.